Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. Today, I'm super excited to be doing a podcast swap with Justin McGary of the Underground Society podcast, which if you guys haven't checked it out already, please go show some love and support. We are going to be talking a lot about podcasting, the EDM industry, artist management, and then also we're going to do like a new segment today, which I think will be fun since we both are like heavily involved in the EDM scene. We're going to be talking about some hot topics and sharing our thoughts
Yes.
and opinions. So welcome, Justin. How's it going?
Hello, fantastic. Yeah, thank you for having me. I am very excited to be here. I've known about your show and Rave Culture Cast since day one, or pretty close enough to day one of my show. So we've
That's
known about
awesome.
each other for a while, and I know we've connected previously in the past, and we've talked on like non-recorded calls. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, thank you so much for having me on your podcast today. It's an honor
Of
to be here.
course.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and I'm excited just to like be with another podcaster and just kind of like pick your brain as well. And I've kind of like checked out your page and stuff like that too, and seen past interviews you've done, and it's like it's cool to see your growth because you've been doing this since like 2020, right?
Yep. Yes.
2020.
Just past the 3 year mark. It was December 2020 when I started. So yeah.
That's a huge fucking feat in
Yeah.
itself. Like, you know, the time and dedication. And like, have you
Yeah.
gone consistently kind of through the last 3 years
Yeah,
or?
there's been, I think like I took a month off because I got my wisdom teeth pulled out, and then I
Mm,
take like maybe a weekend here and there if I'm like I just don't want to feel like doing an episode, and it's usually
yeah.
weekends where I'm like I went to Lost Lands or I went to EDC or I have other stuff obligation wise going on,
Mm-hmm.
to where I just don't have time to edit or I don't have time. So it's just like okay, this is going to be a bye week, but
Yeah.
other than those couple things, yeah, I've pretty much been
The
every week
hustle.
since the start.
I feel that so strongly because I like people I don't think realize until they start doing a podcast just like how much work it is compared to even like other platforms or types of content. So I give you so much
Yeah.
credit for doing what you're doing
And
amongst like
a lot of
yeah.
people, something that I recently kind of discovered and kind of putting into practice is actually growing a team behind me too, because
Mm,
doing all the work and editing and social media clips and everything that comes with it by yourself is a lot. So, and
100%.
I still, it's not, music still isn't my full-time thing yet. So I've a 40, 50 hour week job still on top of that. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like trying to balance those two things. I'm always working.
I know. I was going to ask you that. Yeah, because like that's. I'm so glad we're chatting now too. Because I've done both. I'm like a one woman show, and then I've had help in the past. I had
Hmm.
like kind of two part time like freelancers working with me, friends of mine, both who I haven't worked with now in like over a year. So now I'm back to being a one woman show, and like with a
Yeah.
baby, it's just I'm getting to the
Oh
point where
boy.
I'm
Yeah.
like,
Being a mom, yep.
yeah. So I'm like, okay, we can't be a one woman show anymore. So we'll have to chat like off camera
Yeah. Yeah.
too. But yeah, and like juggling a job. And is your full time job like not involved in the EDM
No.
industry at all?
Nope.
Totally separate thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
various
that's like
everything.
a lot to manage on top
Yeah.
of it. Ugh, where are you based out of?
San Francisco area, Bay Area,
Nice. Okay, yeah, I know it
California.
was bright and early for you today.
Yeah, it's 9 a.m. All
So,
good though.
so
I'm
what?
an early riser. I get up at 7:30 every day most of the time anyway. So
Nice.
yeah.
Sick. Okay, so what are your like local venues and stuff out there?
Uh,
Like that's a big scene.
DNA, yeah, DNA Lounge. Bill Graham is our big one.
Mm-hmm.
San Jose Civic. Um, yeah, those are kind of the major ones near me.
Nice.
I actually grew up in Sacramento, so I've moved out here a couple years ago,
Sick.
for college and stuff. But yeah, I think it's mainly Bill Graham and DNA is the venues that I'm a regular attendee at. So
Nice. And who are you a fan of? Like, what are your
I'm a
genres?
bass
Who you
head, man.
loving? Yeah, I
Bass
figured.
head all day. Yeah, Lost Lands is my home, away from home. Yeah,
Nice.
bass music is my shit.
Yeah, I was gonna say we definitely have to talk. Have you gone like every year or
Last 4 years. This year I'm actually not going because I'm going to be
nice?
moving to LA and going. Finally, I've been waiting for 5 years to make this happen, but finally
Wow.
going to Icon Collective for the music business side of it to finish out my schooling. So
Wow.
got a lot
That's so
of life
exciting.
stuff going on with school and whatnot, so I'm taking this year off.
Fair enough. Yeah, and Los Angeles
Yeah.
will be there when you
Yes.
come back.
Yes. Yeah.
So have you
It was
done
cool
a
being there though during the growth years. Like the last 4 years has expanded so much. I
right?
remember like the first year I went, it was only 2 stages with some sound camps at night. Now it's like 7 stages or something. So
It's
it's
crazy.
grown a lot. A lot of money, and tickets have gotten pricier. We were talking about this on my show, but
Mm-hmm.
as ticket prices going up, we actually see it being put to use. So it's
It's
been a cool
good.
festival
Good
to like
thing.
see grow. Yeah.
Yeah, and I will say like because I've heard that feedback a lot too, but at least from like the praise that it gets and the following it has, I'm like just the hype every year. Like, and I'm not even a bass head, and
Yeah.
I've been like, I think I need to go because
You
the hype
should.
is so good.
If you can withstand, I know you're much
Yeah.
more into house. I love all genres. I grew up on country music. I grew up on rock. I like all
Yeah.
music. I love house. I love techno. I love all that stuff too. But um, when you ask me, kind of what do I
Mm-hmm.
categorize myself? My artists that I manage are all bass music. I've worked more primarily in the bass music side of things, but I do
Yeah.
like everything.
Beautiful. No, I feel the same way too,
Yeah.
especially live. I'm like, I can get down with pretty much anything,
Yeah.
but oh, that's awesome though. So lots of life changes, but okay, so what brought you to the EDM industry? Like why did you
Yeah.
want to work in this field?
It started just, it was a very slow progression to where my career, I guess, is now in music. I honestly, growing up, I heard about raves and, some people that I was friends with back in the day, like had attended them. And I was like, I don't know. I grew up as a Christian, so it was very like taboo. Rave has some dark, like,
Mm-hmm.
I guess, like stigmatism around it. But I grew up loving music. I grew up, going to probably 300 plus concerts with my mom. My mom loves music as well, so
Mm-hmm.
just grew up going to live events. And then I was always like a pipe dream, like maybe I'll get into business. I've always known that I wanted to get into business, so I was like maybe I'll get into music like maybe down the road. I don't know. That's
Mm-hmm.
kind of just like in my wildest dreams that would happen. And then one of the I think lead singer, no, not lead singer, lead guitarist at my church, actually went to his first rave. And being that someone that he was like my best friend at the time, so being
Mm-hmm.
someone that kind of related in that aspect, I was like, wait, you of all people went to a rave?
Right.
And then after that, then he was like, dude, you got to go. It's so much fun. So then he took me. And then 2 weeks later, I went to my first festival. And then after that, it was just like I fell in love with like just attending. So I
Mm-hmm.
just kept going to raves. But then obviously ticket prices, I kept paying for all my shows to go to. So then I found out a route of, I can join a promotion team and go to these shows for free.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, then I started the promotion team. Then I started really seeing kind of how this industry started to work on the business side of things. And then that same promotion team, who were also production team, I then transferred into working on their production team, building the stages, kind of getting my hands dirty there, meeting the art, get my first opportunity to kind of get backstage and kind of mingle with artists and industry professionals. And then I was like, man, I really like this management stuff. This is like kind
Mm-hmm.
of where I want to set my sights on. And then I grew up loving content, loving YouTube. I watch YouTube all day, every day. I'm a huge YouTube fan. So I was like, how do I
Nice.
combine that world with? And I always wanted to start a YouTube page, but I didn't kind of know what angle I wanted to take. So it kind of just all came together. And now I'm managing people and using, the podcast as a platform. And yeah, it's
Love
been
it.
finally like all my ideas kind of finally are kind of coming together. So
Yay. I know, and
yeah.
it takes that time too. It's crazy. It
It's
does. It's
yeah,
like
yeah. It's
a
been
slow
like 10 years, I
progression.
think, since like my first
Wow.
rave. I think I went to my first rave in like 2015. It's like 9 years. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's incredible. No, I'm glad you like share that story because like I feel like sometimes I'll get questions about how to like get your foot in the door, or people thinking like you need a background in it or something like
Nope.
that. And I think it's like, yeah, we're both examples of you just
Do
finding
it.
your own path. Yeah, and kind of getting your own way because there are so many avenues you can go down. But what about management like spoke to you?
Yeah, I think it was mainly shout out to Moshe Leezy, Marshmello Sudden Death. He manages a lot of the top guys in our industry, but it's just I saw some old interviews with him and just him kind of explaining it, and I don't know why, but I just really liked the way he was putting things and the way he had Marshmello, he had a bunch of big names in the
Mm-hmm.
industry, and he was I think at the time like EDM interviews are very much still a new thing, and I think he was one of the first like industry people that actually had a few interviews out, so
Mm-hmm.
I was able to kind of like grasp the concept more with that. And yeah, management stuff. I think honestly, the guy who brought me to my first rave, we were joking about it a long time ago. We were at a show I think with our moms,
Mm-hmm.
and we were just joking. And he was the artist obviously, and I don't know. I just always had like a love for business. Both my parents are entrepreneurs,
Nice.
so we were joking around. They were like, "Oh, you can be the manager," and then like I don't know, just like that idea stuck so much, and I was like, I think I actually would enjoy that a lot.
Yeah.
And then when the time came, I was like, I think that's the avenue I want to go.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so cool. And then you get to work with like so many different types of people as well, which
Yeah.
is sick. And like I'm sure is traveling a passion of yours as well, because that's going to be a
Yes.
huge part of it.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So
Yeah,
it
my
all
guys
kinds of
aren't to
fits.
that size quite yet. We've done a couple shows. I've flown out to Denver a few times. There's some other shows that are popping up later this year that I'm
Nice.
going to be traveling for, but it's still very much a new venture, and my guys aren't
Mm-hmm.
like touring level artists yet. So
But you're
it's
starting.
yeah, we're
Yeah.
starting though. Yeah.
That's so exciting. That's so cool. So with the podcast then, like you said, you've kind of like used that as a tool, which I could not agree with more. I feel like the
Yeah.
podcast has like opened so many doors. It's such a good networking tool, but you reach so many
Yeah.
people as well because it's like a very intimate format. But what was it like getting started, and what were like the hurdles when
Man.
you first began?
I didn't even know. Well, originally, my first original idea was to start a radio station. I realized that all these other genres that I grew up listening to, they all had specific radio stations for that genre of music.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, man, why isn't there a radio station for EDM? I'd listen to that all day. And so I was at the beginning, that was kind of like my idea. So there was a lot of like, I included a lot of music in the beginning. I had mixes from artists. I included it was kind of a blend between like a radio show, it was like a mock radio show podcast.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't feel like I could get deep enough with the conversation and keep it under an hour with including as much music as I was. So that was kind of like my show completely took a different shape. Now it's just a conversation,
Mm-hmm.
an hour long conversation ish. But yeah, that was a big kind of thing at first, is what even direction I wanted to go with the show. I didn't even,
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, I just want to do this radio station thing and talk to cool people in the EDM scene. And then I actually took a course, an online course. I think that was right around the time that I was talking to you about, I was trying to learn what to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I took an online course that was specifically for podcasters, and like it was called Grow the Show, with Kevin Schmidlin, I think his name is.
Nice.
But yeah, then that really like we covered mission statement, we covered like the groundwork, we like covered like what we really want to like offer the world through our podcast, and like some of the do's and don'ts, and I learned a lot through that, and it completely like reshaped my show. So after that,
That's awesome.
then it really like set me on I didn't even know that I wanted my show. I originally wanted my show to be like yours, where it was like directed at the audience, but now it's more directed towards people who are, who are like me, who want to be in this industry and just don't know
Mm-hmm.
where to start and
Yeah.
what challenges they're going to be facing and stuff like that. So that all of that idea came in after I took the course, and so that was like a big metamorphosis, I think, at the beginning.
That's so helpful though. I'm glad that you went down that route though, because I feel like people, I mean, there's so much you can learn online. There's so much free information, but I think when you like
No,
make that commitment,
I paid a
yeah.
good price for my course. So.
Yeah, I bet. I know. I did when I did like the social media coaching, and same thing. I paid like whatever 4 figures for like
Yep.
to learn how to be a coach at one point, and it was like the best investment ever, and it was
Mhm.
well worth it. But yeah, I think like when you put that out in the universe too, that like you're committing to that, like it's just you just level up when you educate
Yeah.
yourself in this space, and there's so many aspects to podcasting. Like
And I'm still learning shit. I learn a lot of times why I watch so much YouTube, especially like I learn just by watching others. Oh, they're trying something new, or they're
Yeah.
posting it. Like yesterday, I just brought the podcast to. I'm starting to post full length video, full length episodes on X now, just because I saw some of the bigger creators do it, and I know Elon's kind of like it's a new feature, so he's going to be pushing us. I was like, why not try it out?
Right.
So there's always things I'm trying and experimenting with or learning or whatever it may be. So
I didn't even realize
forever
that.
student. Yeah.
Oh God, another platform to post our
Right,
fucking podcast on. But it is, it's so
Yeah.
true. It's worth. I know TikTok. They said I don't know if it's that long yet, but they're testing like longer and
Yeah.
longer form on TikTok. It's like
Yeah.
very confusing.
Every platform's going to be like YouTube now. YouTube has the shorts and
know.
the full length, and now everyone's coming out with shorts and full length. It's
That's
like
what I'm saying. I know.
such a weird wave in social media stuff now. Compared
Yeah.
to like when we started, it's changed so much, just the landscape of social media.
And I wonder, how do you feel about, because like I still struggle with this occasionally. Like obviously I listen to some podcasts that are still just podcasts, like just the
Yeah.
audio format. I watch on both. Like I do love some podcasts that are a video because I don't care. Like even if it's just the person talking, I'll watch them. And then others I just listen to the audio. But I still haven't decided yet like what the better medium is, because part of me is like you're missing out on the opportunity if it's not on YouTube and
Yeah.
not video.
Just another distribution of another place
Yeah.
people find it. Yeah. And
'Cause it's
the
so
thing
much
that I like
work,
about
but-
YouTube as well is it's owned by Google, so it's a search engine too. So it's
Mhm.
works a little differently than like
audio.
normal social media or like Spotify or something like that.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I've always told myself. I'm like, it's so much work, but I
Yeah.
can't not do it. I can't go
We're gonna have to
back,
talk about that too, because I have some with the boom of AI. I have some tools that I use AI wise that help me with the video editing. So
Beautiful.
we'll talk about it.
Amazing. Yeah. And like
Yeah.
we're both on Riverside too, which like
Yes.
I just switched for this season. Is like the best decision
So
I
much
fucking
better.
made.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been so good. But throughout the podcast, like, have you had, I mean, it's hard to pick a favorite guest, but have you had people that like you really learned a lot from or you thought were super valuable as your
Yeah,
guests?
man, we're almost at 200 episodes now, so that's hard to choose from. I think there's two episodes that were more recent. One was there, and they were both dream guests of mine. One was with Bandles. He works for a company called Soundry AI, talking about AI. That is a music AI tool for producers.
Mm-hmm.
It's you type in basically kind of what you want and like the specific BPM, and it shoots you out samples. So it's like a sample generator for producers. But being able to talk
Sick.
to Bandles, I'm super interested in AI. I use a lot, like as I said, I use a lot of AI in my process. So I'm very interested in that topic and just being able to bring Bandles on to
Mm-hmm.
talk about something that's so new and like exciting for me. That was cool. Also, shout out to AU5. That was a dream guest of mine. He was just way more philosophical and spiritual, and like our conversation just took a life of its own, and it was one of the most incredible conversations I've had in the podcast. So
That's
anyone
awesome.
listening to this, go check out those episodes. Those are probably two of my favorites. But yeah, I think that other than that, I mean, there's been so many episodes.
Mm-hmm. Is there any
Yeah.
topic you haven't explored yet that you really want to?
Man, actually, I'm trying to get more social media people on, and having you on will cover some topics that I wanted to ask. But yeah, just mainly like other creators' experiences. I've had a lot of artists on, I've had a lot of managers on, and stuff like that. But the creators, I've only had a few
Side
people
of
on.
that things.
Yeah, so yeah, more creators.
Oh, that's so
Yeah.
sick. And then I know like you're obviously more in the bass music realm, but is there any other like who are the dream artists you'd still love to get on?
Oh man, yeah, forever and always will be Subtronics. When that day happens, I will die inside.
Yeah.
No, but I've been following his career since like OG Rhythm days, like when he was like a young artist. So it'll be really cool for me to have that conversation if and when it ever does happen. When it does happen, I'll put it out there in the world.
Yeah.
But yeah, that would probably be, that's like pinnacle, like top. I don't even like Excision, any other top guys, like that would be cool. But I've just because I've been following his career for so long, that's probably
That's amazing. Okay, so then have you explored yet? Because this is another thing I'm like starting to get into, doing podcasts in person versus online.
Yes, so I want to do, when I move to LA for Icon, I'm actually probably going to be doing a lot of them in person because you can rent out Icon studios. They have, I don't even know how many they have on campus, but you can rent out their studios. So I'm thinking I'll probably have a home set up like I do now, but I want to do a lot more in person since I'll actually have like a studio to rent out and like a place on campus where I can record them. So when that time comes, I'll probably do a lot more in person.
Sick. Yeah, because that's like something I also have like debated just as a podcast. Like I've seen it both ways as well. Like I've always been with social media, YouTube, podcast, anything, like start with what you have and you have every bit of potential to be successful, like regardless your limitations. Like I think you can do it virtually and have a fucking amazing podcast. You don't have to have the fanciest studio, blah, blah, blah. But like I think those things can look amazing and can add to your quality and do like there's, you're adding a co-host, which I want to talk about, but like I think you can be successful like in any medium, but there is like a different energy. And I've tested it out, just like not full length podcasts. I don't think I've just done like artist interviews at festivals and stuff like that. And I like
which
having
would be
the
cool
balance
to do
of
as
both.
well. Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing that I don't like about those is
hard.
like it's so quick. Like it's hard to like sit down for an hour with an artist at a show.
Yeah, no.
Like, it's like you got to hit them with like some quick kind of hot topic questions to get going on the short clips or whatever. But I feel like it's mainly just like a social media flex doing the interviews in person. It's not really like the quality of the conversation isn't there as much as if you were going to do like an hour long sit down. Yeah.
It's definitely like a different energy, especially when it's like, because I just put out all the Groove Cruise ones and it's hard because it's like some of them are tied to Groove Cruise, so it's timely in a way way. So then it's like you have to balance between like how much are you making it about the festival you're actually at versus like evergreen conversation
their
Yeah, so
story
it
or whatever.
definitely, yeah, it's tricky to balance, but that's gonna be so exciting. I feel like it's gonna open so many doors for you being in
Yeah.
LA. It's
Yeah,
gonna be a new
I'm excited
energy.
about it, and hopefully after I get done with school, I'll actually be able to make the full transition into like music full time. So I think I'm
Nice.
right around a couple years away from making
Yeah.
this my full time thing. Thank God.
Yeah. No, and I was gonna say I want to talk like balancing things too, because you briefly touched on your job, but in the past when you're before having help, like how did you balance things and what have you changed since?
Work a lot and keep working.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there wasn't much of a balance.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I feel that.
Get your shit done. That's it. Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of sacrifices made. That when I first started the podcast, I was going through a really, really rough breakup on
Mm-hmm.
emotionally for me. Um, I, yeah, very
Mm-hmm.
rough breakup. But nothing bad happened. It was just it was kind of came out of left field for me, and it was just kind of like the recovery process there
Rocked your
was
world.
hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I was in a really dark place during that time, and the podcast actually like pulled me out of it.
Mm-hmm.
It really like gave me something else to focus on, and yeah, so I haven't. It's been since the birth of my podcast. I haven't been in the dating game. I don't have time to date, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm so
Yeah.
busy with work and like grinding on my passion. So yeah, that's been like I think one of the major sacrifices, and like I want that in my life. It's just I don't know how I don't know how to fit it in my schedule,
Mm-hmm.
and I like to give that person like the time that I believe that they deserve, and the time that I believe I deserve to give myself, and then to spend time with that person in a
Mm-hmm.
relationship. I don't I barely have time to watch TV, so
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. No, and it's exhausting. And I think like it depends. I don't know. I feel like when you're ready for things, you're just ready for things and things just like shit.
Yeah,
Like I'm kind of going through that transition now, just being a mom. Like I totally get you. Like I've been in that headspace and then I am not in it anymore because I'm
yeah,
like, you did the grind, couldn't breathe,
right,
work, and like you're just not in that place anymore. Like there's a
yeah.
little bit more personal and work
And I know
life
that's
balance,
why
but
I'm willing to do it for how
it won't be
5, 6.
forever.
It won't be forever.
Yeah.
Like it will
Yeah.
be a chunk of time, but it won't be forever. And I'll look back at this and be like, "Damn, I'm glad I did that." Because
Yeah.
I'm setting myself up for only success. So
I was
yeah,
gonna say you're like laying that foundation because I think like that just happens at that time in your life because you're able to do that and you're like laying a lot of foundation for your future self to be
yeah,
able to be like, okay, I got all that work, I hustled
yep.
for a long time, and now I can kind of like
And the
even
people
things
that
out.
there's people that I watch. I used to compete in bodybuilding too, to bring that up. But I follow a lot of fitness influencers. That's really where I got
Mm,
into like the social media stuff, is watching those guys. And there's still guys that I watch that I've watched them. They're mainly entrepreneurs now. They don't even really like they're connected to fitness,
mm-hmm.
but and they're just like just watching them kind of go from their previous job to like now owning multi-million-dollar businesses, and
Yeah,
I'm
it's
like, damn,
crazy.
dude, that's what I want to do.
Yeah, no, no, no.
Yeah.
It all. I just feel like it will all like naturally
Yeah.
unfold organically. But talk
Yeah.
about your co-host. How'd that
Yeah,
happen?
yeah. She pitched herself to be a guest on the show. We met on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it. And then we had the conversation, and just she's another manager. She had radio experience, college radio experience. She had some, and it was kind of in the back of my head. I was like, man, I need to find someone to like delegate some of this work,
Mm-hmm.
and especially like planning school this year. Like, there's no way I'm going to do school and still
Yeah.
run the hours I'm doing with work. So I was like, I need to delegate some stuff, and she was just seemed like a perfect fit. So yeah, her name's Hallie. She joined. I think she joined. She was doing admin stuff, helping us out. Just we kind of do our seasons year by year, since we're weekly. So I was like, why don't we just start as you being a co-host in the top of the year? But
Mm-hmm.
I think she worked admin for like admin stuff for like 3 months before that, something like that. So
Mm-hmm.
she kind of got a feel of like our process and whatnot. And she kind of like gave her some time to um, kind of learn how we do things. And then
Yeah.
yeah, and then she started, and things have been going really well. We're still trying to find our kind of our rhythm and stuff
Mm-hmm.
to everything, but yeah, it's been going great, and it's been great to have someone. It's given me almost a full day completely off from work, which is
Oh,
nice,
that's awesome.
and having an extra brain there to kind of put input into the conversation and think about certain things in different angles than I would, or just having an extra brain there to
To
come up
help.
with questions to ask the guests. Or now we're doing host only episodes too, where we're doing like topic episodes. We're kind of giving
Mm-hmm.
giving me a little bit of flexibility to kind of like shake things up and do some other type of content.
Nice.
So,
Yeah. I was gonna say, have you seen a difference in like even just like performance of episodes? Like how closely do you pay attention to like analytics and
Yeah,
stuff?
I mean, I'm definitely, so at the beginning of the show, I was definitely focused more on like just the streaming. I wasn't really focused on YouTube this past year. I've really like started focusing on YouTube and making the videos look right and transitions and like making it
Mm-hmm.
look good on a YouTube video. So YouTube growth has gone up quite a bit in this past year.
Nice.
We're still kind of a small show, but
Mm-hmm.
comparatively, it's gone up a lot. And yeah, adding the new. I think it's going to take a little bit of time for people to kind of, and the reason why we do the host only episodes now is kind of to showcase our lives too a little bit more instead of just the guest, and kind of to build that relationship between us and the audience. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that just is going to take a little bit of time. It's only been a month, so
Yeah.
it will take
No,
time. But I think it will hopefully make a really positive difference. Kind of
that's
putting
awesome.
ourselves out there more than just like I said, just a guest. So
I think so because I spoke to oh my gosh Olivia from Elevated Life. She's
yeah,
another podcaster.
yep,
And we talked about that. We did like a coaching call, and that like everybody's analytics are probably different. It just depends on the type of show. But like
yeah.
I notice in mine, like when I do not necessarily interviews, but artist interviews in particular, like the views and the analytics just aren't there as often, which is surprising
It's
because
so
you'd
weird. You think it would be
think
backwards.
it's not, but like
Yeah.
it makes sense. Like, and I love to do those just because like whatever, it's an artist that I really love or like their message or something like that. But regardless, like I've noticed, and I told her this, I was like, you've got to do like topic based
hmm
episodes by yourself that are like optimized for search because those are
hmm
the ones that perform the best for me, like by and far compared to like any interview, which is
Yeah.
fucking crazy. So
Yeah,
like
it's
I
wild.
think the balance is important for podcasters.
Definitely, yeah, and
Yeah.
I think I learned that by watching some bigger shows too. That are the
Mm-hmm.
big famous people that are their shows are in the millions.
Yep.
But I see them kind of shaking it up and sometimes doing guest interviews, sometimes doing topic type stuff, just covering news stuff and their
Yeah.
opinions on what's going on in the world. Which, as a fan and as a listener, I like those episodes. I was like, you know what? Why don't we try that out?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
You do so many episodes, it's worth trying out. Like
yeah, for sure.
I'm with you in that same boat. I literally have too many ideas, which is probably
Yeah,
the
we
fucking
do what
problem.
50-ish episodes a year, so yeah, we
Yeah,
have plenty of episodes
to
to do
test
different
it
things.
out.
Yeah,
Yeah, I feel you. But no, I'm gonna be so we could dive into the next segment here. And thank you for testing this out because I'm actually like I still have interviews planned, but I'm kind of like gonna be testing out this direction too, where
yeah,
like just so much shit happens in our community and industry, and I'm like I just want to react to it in real time rather than like being a month planned with episodes where I'm like so stuck on the topic that I
yeah,
had in mind. Like I'd rather be more fluid and like reactionary, I think. So I picked 3 things that are kind of like happening, right now that I would love like your take on too. And I don't think
yeah.
I've like talked about them too much, but the biggest one being Coachella not selling
Ooh,
out yet, which let
yeah.
me pull up this article because I had to look up. I was like, I wonder like when the last time
I've
that's
personally
like
never been
ever
to Coachella,
happened.
and I have a good answer for this because I personally have kind of close to zero interest in going to Coachella. So
Ooh, okay, good.
yeah,
Pop off. What do you think?
yeah. The line. I don't know the lineup. Like I don't. I grew up listening to, like I said, to all kinds of different music, but just the lineup this year is not. Who is it? Ariana? No, it's not even
Yeah,
Ariana.
it was
It's
Lana Del
Lana Del
Rey.
Rey. Yeah, that's who it was. Tyler the Creator and someone else.
Let me pull it
I've
up here.
never really been a fan of any of them, so that I think the lineup is a big reason. I think when I was doing my research on when you sent me the topic too, that's what a lot of people were saying. Just like the ticket, like where the financial industry is right now and like where everyone finances are,
Yep.
ticket prices for festivals are going up. We just covered that on my show too. And just the line, like it's Coachella, bro. Like,
Mm-hmm.
like why?
Yeah, here we
Why
go.
book someone bigger? Like those are
Doja
all great
Cat.
artists, but don't put them as the main headliners. I don't know. I just don't feel like
Yeah. No, that's a
there's
great
better
point.
headliners.
I'm with you on that too. I haven't gone before. Actually, like, so I didn't have any interest in the longest time. And then more recently, really wanted to go, like, almost sent it last year and then was going to go this year. My friend's wedding is that weekend, the
Mm,
weekend one. But it's Lana Del Rey, Tyler the Creator, and Doja Cat with special
there you go.
guest No Doubt. No
Yeah.
Doubt. I love No Doubt. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Um,
There's a lot of cool looking at like the other people that are on the lineup too. There's a lot of like pretty solid EDM people too this year.
Yeah,
So
I was gonna say the undercard is
yeah,
pretty solid, but yeah, same thing. Like, don't listen to a single one of those
yeah.
headliners. Not
And as much
interested
as I
at
love
all.
content creation, I feel like it's very much an influencer festival, which is not the type of people that I prefer to be around in a
Yeah,
festival setting. So
I
just
feel that
personally,
that's kind of
yeah,
like that's how I used to feel about it too. So like the more I like looked into it and read about it, the more, and like I know weekend one is like notoriously worse for that than weekend two is. But like the 110, like the Yuma 10
yeah,
for
yeah,
like the
yep,
EDM stuff, like the actual like production and vibe and everything like that, I'm like, oh, I could definitely get down with it. And I want to like see it at
sweet,
some point, and it
yeah,
is kind of nice how you could pop around. But yeah, I agree with you. If you are dance music heavy, and then on top of that the headliners like aren't anybody
yeah,
interesting that would pull you away from that, then I
right,
feel
right,
like, is it worth the ticket price to just
right.
be at like one or two
Yeah,
stages
because like
really the whole time?
if it was like Beyonce or some shit, like it's Beyonce. I'm gonna go see Beyonce.
Right.
Come on.
Yeah, I feel you. Or like Blink 182 ended
Or
up
yeah,
going
yeah,
last year,
yes,
like
100%. Yep.
yeah, like if there was a mix, because I'm trying to see, like I know like John Summit and Dom Dalla were like one of the headliners.
Two of my favorite house music
Yeah,
producers.
Anti Up and Gorgon City
Also
also got.
great.
Yeah, so like some of the dance music underneath was good, but I agree
Yeah.
with you. I just, and then this is saying it was the slowest rate in 13 years
Yeah.
that it sold, which is, I think that says a lot though, between that, the comments on the Lost Lands and the comments on the Forest tickets, because Forest also
I
was
don't know if I saw comments on either one of those.
controversial.
Why?
Um, Forest was also, I mean, all of them have kind of been like creeping up. So Forest still ended up selling out the day of, but it was like
Mm,
slower. It
got
didn't
it.
like, it wasn't immediate, which it always is like immediate. It
Yeah,
took
yeah,
like
yeah,
the
yeah.
entire day. So like even that was like,
That's kind of nice though. Like I know
yeah,
for business, it's like you don't want to see that. You want it to be, fastest sales possible, sell out. But
right.
it's kind of nice for the people who are like, damn, I can never get my hands on these tickets, and now they had a little bit more time
They
to do
had more
so.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed. I think it was, I mean, the main thing, and like I did Forest once and I'm like a stan. I will be back at some
I
point.
want to go. I've never been.
It's fucking
Yeah.
incredible. But I will say, like, what I ended up doing that day, because like I was like, well, let me just compare. And I ended up pulling up Tomorrowland's
Mm,
ticket prices. The VIP experience at Forest, which was camping still. So you need to bring your tent and all that, was almost the same price as like a preset experience at Tomorrowland. So that got me where I was like,
damn.
I'm gonna pay this much, which was like $1,200, something like crazy,
Yeah.
to like still bring
For
my own
camping?
fucking
Yeah. What
tent.
the hell?
Yeah, like it just
Jeez.
was like very expensive for like a VIP. But yeah, so I don't know. So I think prices are getting like a little
Is
fucking crazy.
is VIP worth it at? Because I mean, like
Forest.
for personally, like EDC. When I went to EDC, I got VIP. I definitely thought it was worth it there.
Yeah, agreed.
Lost Lands, not so much. Maybe as it grows,
No.
and maybe as
Yeah.
it gets closer to like the EDC type size, where it's kind of hard to like, if there's so many people there.
Mm-hmm.
That's the nice thing about VIP. But like, and at EDC, there's like the sky decks. There's different viewing areas. Which at Lost Lands, like there is like a closed off area, but it's not like raised. It's not like there's no
Mm-hmm.
better viewing, and it's kind of behind the crowd, so it's not really like that great of a VIP section in
Right.
my opinion.
Right.
But how is Electric Forest? Is their VIP worth?
Yeah, so the only thing, so that was like the Good Life area. So the cool thing that I think they do is like if you get the VIP, which is like the whole Good Life area, it is separate, and you have like
Mm,
they have their own like little mini stage for the afters and like their own food and
okay.
village. So like there are perks to that, but then I asked my friends, like I had like a media pass the year prior, and like I was in GA the entire fucking
Yeah.
weekend. So then I just said to myself, I was like, okay, so if you're going to pay all this money, yes, I would take advantage of like the Good Life camping stuff, but when I'm in the festival, I probably am not even going to use a single thing from VIP, so then like that's half the cost of the ticket that I'm not even using. So I was kind of like, I would pay that money for an RV because that's what we were planning to
Yeah, yeah.
do. But I was like, I'm not paying over
I've
$1,000 for a fucking tent.
I've yet yeah, no. I've
Yeah.
yet to do the RV thing. I really, really want to
Oh,
though. Because I do like
we'll
the
never go
amenity.
back.
I'd always been like, this year was actually the first year that I did Lost Lands camping, which was very fun. But I like showering. I like being clean. I like being
Yep.
able to put on clean clothes and like be super fresh when I go to this festival every day. I've always been an Airbnb person, but I was like, damn, I could get an RV, get basically the same thing. There's hookups. You
Mm-hmm.
get water, you get fresh water, you get the full like living room area. Like it's
Yep.
basically an Airbnb on wheels. So yeah, have you done it before? Have you done the RV stuff?
I did an RV for Camp EDC in 2022. So
Okay.
that was, and like yeah, bathrooms 100%, but it's just like the air conditioning is the main
Yes.
thing. Like
Yeah.
you can sleep comfortably in air conditioning and like you're in a bed versus on like a
That's true.
sleeping
You can
bag.
sleep in more because at a certain time at like 9, 10 o'clock
Yep.
in tent, you're hot.
You're
Yeah.
sleeping more, you can nap during the day, and then like
Yeah.
even just having like we cooked breakfast, we have like
True.
a
Yep.
full kitchen and fridge, and so like yeah, the convenience of it in my
And you're
opinion is
close.
so worth
There's
it.
no Uber or nothing getting over
Yep.
shuttle passes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. No, so I think it's worth it because then I did after that. I did do Okeechobee
Okay.
VIP, but it was still like tent camping, and that was so fucking hot. And after that, it's
Yeah.
like I can't. I was like I can't do heat in a tent anymore. After
What
this,
month is that? It's like
that was early March.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
almost
So
90s. Yeah, it was fucking hot. But
boy.
but I'm curious to see. I am doing an upcoming episode as well, like talking about festival prices, and I'm curious when this will sell out because they're what 2 months out almost, and
Damn.
it
Still not sold
will.
out.
I'm sure it
Yeah.
will, but it's not surprising that that's
Yeah.
happening.
They have the
Um,
power of all the influencers going, so I'm sure they'll get people to.
Yeah,
They
it'll
have
be
a good,
fine.
solid marketing behind it. So.
Okay, Marshmello. I posted this TikTok yesterday.
Yeah,
It got some
I saw that.
traction. Yeah. So funny. But what's your history with Marshmello? Were you a fan?
Yeah, 100%. He was one of the first people that I like got into. Like when I was like went to my first rave, he was like really popping off. He like just put out Joytime 1, I think, and yeah, I was a huge fan. And then he started getting into the pop stuff, and I even then I still like some of his stuff. I mean, it's definitely not like in
Yeah.
the EDM world, but just as a music fan, I've always liked Marshmello's music. I think I'm actually being a music fan and being on the dubstep bass music side of things, I'm very, very, very extremely picky about rhythm. I think it's very boring sometimes.
Yeah.
And like there's no like groove in it. It's just wonk 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 wonk, the same quarter note over and over again. So I hope that he spices it up. I really like Sudden Death, so him, them being under the same management, and I think Excision did tease their collab, the three of their collab at Thunderdome last weekend. So yeah, I think the way he's going about it is great. I think he's with the right people. I like the people's music that he's kind of grouping up with. Yeah, we'll see what happens. He hasn't really everything his collab with Sudden Death I really liked. So far so good.
Yeah, no, that's interesting to hear. I think some people have similar like background too, because I think there's two trains of thought. Like I was like on board from the beginning as well. Like I remember it was literally just because my friends and I happened to be going to see Skrillex for Halloween, and he was opening, and it was his first show, and all we could
Baby
find
Marshmello.
about him, Baby Marshmello. All he was on was SoundCloud, and I think there was like a couple of those like tracks that were very much in like the Joytime vein.
Yeah, because you started like 3 or 4 years going to events before I did, right?
I was started in 2011.
Yeah, so like 4 years
2011,
before. Yeah.
and that must have been. I mean, who knows? Maybe that was 2015 Halloween. I want to say probably.
That's when I roughly started.
Yeah, and it just. Yeah, I remember seeing him and being like, "What the fuck is this?" But it was really good. But some people forget that like Skrillex like brought him up, like so he has that background of like dubstep and bass music, and
even Skrillex now he's not even really making. I mean, he's kind of, but he's very much.
But he can do it, and people forget that. They're like they think because he went to like the pop hip hop world that he can't like fuck with it, but he very much can.
Yes.
So
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So I think him
and his back to back with Sudden Death at. What EDC?
He did EDC.
Yeah. That was very cool to see.
I think that sold a lot of people on him, which was I think that was the smartest pairing he could have done, because you pick somebody who like Sudden Death's been having like the biggest years of his fucking career, and like has the Void project, which is very dark.
Yes. And I for a while honestly, I think I did kind of go through a period of time where I was like, nah, Marshmello like sold out or whatever.
Yeah.
But not saying that like I still listen to some of his music, but I was very much like kind of I think for like a year or two there I was like he's like whatever, Marshmello's kind of just like cheesy now, like but then
I
now,
agree
like,
with you.
I think he's like redeeming himself, honestly.
I agree. Yeah, because I'm honestly I thought that just based on like the response, like that tweet popped off for him, even just the feedback I saw from people, like it kind of I feel like people think the same
read
thing.
kind of deep down into those comments too. Yeah.
It seems like the love was kind of over there, but people had the same feeling me and you did, where we were like, maybe didn't like love some of the choices he made, so we kind of got disinterested. But like we're rooting for him and we wanted him to come back, so I think people are like welcoming that post.
It's interesting. Being from a manager's lens, I'm sure I don't know, maybe not, but I think he might have been making more money with pop too. So I don't know if he's
Oh,
taking
I'm
like
sure.
So it's like it's
Yeah.
also like being that he's like, nah, this is the music that I'm just fucking with, even if I'm making less money. Like it's cool to see
He
that
doesn't
too.
need
Where
the
he's
money.
just no,
Yeah.
I mean yes,
Yeah.
but a lot of you'd be surprised. A lot of people are just chasing the bag. So
True.
yeah,
I mean, he's done literally everything. I think it's also like, and I don't knock it. Like, get your bag however you fucking
yeah,
want. Like, he was so kid friendly, which I thought was adorable. Like, he was just
yes,
very like brand friendly. I think there's been like appliances made with his face on them. You know what I mean? Like, he
yeah.
just
Well, there's a
very
whole
much
wall.
went.
There's a whole
Yeah.
wall in the Halloween store of just Marshmello stuff. So
Exactly. It just it went to that level of like he's no longer an EDM DJ. He's like on mainstream,
yeah.
like out there in the universe kind of thing. So I'm excited too. If it is in that vein of like what he did with Sudden Death, I think it'll be an interesting era for him.
Yes, for
New
sure.
Marshmello.
Yes.
Okay, and then this last one, this was from Azzecca, which kind of like popped off, and I thought it was just like an interesting conversation.
Oh
But
yeah, I had something really cool to relate this to as well.
okay.
So,
So here's the tweet for everyone. So she said this was posted like basically right after Millennium's like trilogy show, kind of like in response to that. But she put, this might be a hot take, but we need to stop calling these massive arena electronic performances DJing, not to discredit the production and effort that goes into it, but this isn't peak DJing. It's barely even DJing. It's something else entirely, and we need a word for it. And she put under this, she wasn't knocking it. She was just saying these shows are sick. They're incredibly impressive. And it's, if you're big enough to sell them, that's amazing, but it isn't a rave. We need to call these something else entirely to distinguish the difference.
I've always been told
So,
that they were called massives.
that's a good word for it. Yeah.
Always, literally, like even stuff like Wobbleland or like Thunderdome, like all those events. Like even though there's a few days, they're not really festivals. They're kind of in between like a DJ set and like they're a full curated lineup and event. They're just massive events. I've always been told. I don't know.
Yeah. That's a good word for it. Actually, so I missed this, but the artist Medusa responded, which was interesting.
I
They
saw
said,
that. Yeah.
my opinion, the ability of moving people, no matter if it's in a small club or a big stadium, not stopping the music, it can be called with the same word DJing, even for the artist who pre-recorded their set or time code for whatever reason. The goal is always the same. The difference is when this turns into a live show, and this happens when you stop the music almost on every song, calling on stage different artists, from musicians to singers, etc. In that case, the word is a live performance.
Yeah.
Massives is a great word. I mean, I don't really
They're still DJing.
care.
Just the craft is still there. I don't know.
Yeah, it just depends because it
It's
depends
definitely
on
planned, but her comparing a planned set, like, what's the difference between that and like the Eagles playing a live performance? Like, it's all
right.
pre-planned. It's all like,
Yeah, and if you're in an arena,
you just have to go through the motion. Yeah.
Yeah, like you're obviously like, so let's use like Millennium's trilogy set. Like obviously that's different. That's an entire like even concert I would be fine using,
Yeah.
but like he clearly has like lighting, visuals
Right.
planned. Like that's a live performance, like a whole thing that he's doing, versus like you have John Summit playing an arena. I'm sure a lot of his stuff is planned, but
For sure.
maybe he's just more like DJing versus Millennium.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
I don't know. Well, Millennium's always been like that. He's always had the drum rack around him. He's always had live guitars. He's always had that kind of aspect, and he does still do. Like when I saw him at Lost Lands, I don't think it was last year, it was the year before that. He did a DJ set there. Like it's just different settings that he does different things for. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how this continues to go though, because I think it's like a huge step for the EDM community or dance music in general to be able to literally sell out stadiums.
I'm on the side,
crazy.
yeah. I'm on the side of make EDM as big as we possibly can. So
agreed.
It's causing growth. I don't know. I think it's freaking awesome.
Yeah, agreed. And like, listen, I'm sure for some like OG DJs and stuff, like if that's not for them or they prefer to play different types of venues or whatever it is, like success looks different to different people.
Oh, yeah.
But I think to just even be able to have like a platform to have house music that big, or even like KX5, like this show's KX5 sold out is fucking bananas. Tiesto's doing the Super Bowl.
Yep.
Which is
we
crazy.
just talked about that on my show as well.
Yeah. So like, and like he's done like the Olympics, so he's done big things.
Right,
but I think just more recognition, because even the Grammys just happened.
Yeah, since Skrillex won 8 times or whatever, this 8th award.
Yeah, and they never televised the dance music.
Yeah, right.
Stuff. Yeah.
What was I gonna say? Damn. Shit, I was on a train of thought.
Tiesto's Super Bowl. Sorry, I cut you off.
Tiesto's Super Bowl. Oh, Excision is playing. My co-host. I didn't know about this until she told me. Excision is doing the Snake Pit 2 Indy 500.
Wow.
Yeah. So I was like, Tiesto's one thing because it's more like global music,
Yeah.
like more people accept his music. But having bass music as, at like the Indian 500, like that's cool.
I agree, and it's because like you had the bubble or whatever back in like the 2012, like that,
Big
like
room, yeah.
era, which catapulted it to a different level, and then I'm sure for some people they fell off or whatever. But it's just just seems to be a whole just new era, and I'm actually curious now that to like bring it back to Coachella, like there have been some festivals who started as multi-genre who went more dance music. I could be wrong. I think North Coast was one of those.
Yes.
Like they're more EDM like focused now. I feel like there's more ticket sales in there in a way. Like maybe like the multi-genre is like throwing it off.
I'm pretty sure. I mean, yeah, true.
I could be wrong. I could be totally wrong, but just
true.
throwing that theory out there.
There's been people who came on my show recently and said that EDM's kind of the sound of our generation. So I think I mean, I can see it as going as far as like rap and like how rock had its heyday, how rap had its heyday in the 90s. Like, I think the EDM's eventually going to hit that, I think. So we were talking about ticket prices and how festival prices are going up, but I mean, just for a GA ticket, $300 to $500 for that. I mean, that's one night for a Drake concert.
Right. Oh, 100%. Yeah, don't have to justify it to me. I think it's so fucking worth it, but no, it is. It's great. I think, we'll come back to this topic, but it's.
I wanted to say one thing too.
Yeah.
With that tweet, it's almost comparing I'm a huge stand-up comedian fan too. I follow a lot of comedians. It's very similar to like, it's almost like calling out Kevin Hart for doing stadiums and saying it's not real comedy, in my opinion.
Got it. Right.
It's it's still stand-up comedy. He's still doing the craft. He's still doing everything that like, it might be slightly different because he's playing to a wider, bigger audience, but it's the same thing. Is like the comedy world is very comparable to the music world because they start in clubs and work their way up to theaters, then work their way up to stadiums. And I thought it was very similar to like, it's like calling out Kevin Hart for doing a stadium. Like, why?
And there's so much like, and I think, exactly. It just depends on the type of show too. Cause if it's something like that, like it clearly has to be pre-planned for that level of like production and everything. And all
with all the timing with the fire and all the timing with the lasers and all that shit. Yeah. It has to be.
Yeah. Exactly. And it's no less amazing. It's incredible, but it may not be the traditional like DJing that you're thinking of where you're like going off the vibe of
and
the
there's
people
a time and a place for that. I mean, look at like Carl Cox doing 8-hour sets. Like that's such a craft in its own, but it's a very different thing than what Illenium's doing. Doesn't mean it's any less EDM. It's all the same. Right.
And just to clarify, that's not what she was saying. She just said like, what is the word for it? I love the word massives. I think that's a great word for that. This has been so much fun. I love doing that. I'm glad we could like riff off these things together because I could talk about this shit all day long. But lastly, can you plug where everybody can find you and anything else you want to coming up?
Honestly, follow me on my personal Instagram account. That's where I spend most of my time online, Justin J. McGary. And then if you want to get in touch with the podcast or anything, it's just honestly the easiest thing to plug is just www.undergroundsocietypodcast.com. All of our stuff's on our website, so just go to our website.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for your time today. It was really exciting.
Me.
Yeah, having you on. And guys, go check out the podcast episode. We're going to hop over to his podcast now. Go show love, support, retweet, subscribe, do all the things, and we'll see you in the next episode. Awesome. Bye, guys.
Thanks, guys.